lucky to get out of those escape rooms alive.
I need to know that the criminals who killed the 4 people in front of me are held accountable.
They're hiding in plain sight in the middle of Manhattan.
We need to stop them.
I'm in.
Hi, Logan. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Howard. How's it going?
Not too bad, thanks. How are you keeping?
Trying the best as I can. We had to do a little bit of reshoots for Escape Room 2 during COVID, and I've had a couple of other good projects lined up. So, trying to stay sane in these insane times. But thankfully, things are lightening up, and hopefully we'll see a brighter future.
What the hell is going on?
The train is uncoupled!
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a light at the end of the tunnel because this is coming out to the theaters finally. That must be a relief for you because you must have been on tenterhooks waiting to see when this was going to come out now and see if it was actually going to get a big screen release that it deserves, because these huge set pieces really need to be seen on a big screen, right?
Yeah, we weren't quite sure how it was going to pan out, but thankfully, the states have been well with the vaccine rollout, and it's now time for everybody to get back into the theaters and see something great. And I think it's the right time for the movie to come out during the summer. It's one of those thrill rides that, of course, you have to go see in the theaters to get the visceral experience.
Uh-huh. So I want to know, when did you find out exactly that there was going to be a sequel? I imagine when you did the first one, there was no intention, no pretension that there was going to be a sequel. So how soon afterwards did you realize this could turn into a franchise? And when did you realize that there was going to be a sequel? And when did you realize that you wanted to be on board because they weren't just milking it, they were going to take it in a different direction that was worth doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, like, when we first made the original, we were kind of trying an experiment there to see if we could kind of pump out a fun, amazing feature that has that escape room element, being them being so popular in pop culture today. And I think nobody expected the return of such a wonderful audience that really was drawn to these movies. And after the first release, we kind of all put our heads together and said, how can we do this again and make it all the more interesting and continue the story, because there really is like this strange story of who is making this happen and what is the almost elitist evil group that is plotting this and playing this most dangerous game, if you will. So we wanted to just add new elements to it. We wanted to amp up the high octane experience and make it as interactive as possible. And I think that's what's fun about these movies is like the viewer has to figure out the mystery while watching the film. So it's great. It's great to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, the viewer really does have to kind of work with you. I mean, something that I hate, a pet peeve is when I'm on the PlayStation with my friends, with my mates, and I'm just sat there watching my friend play FIFA 20 or whatever, and I hate it. So yeah. I was speaking to Adam about this, and I was asking him how, as a director, he makes sure that the audience is involved with you at the same time. So from an actor's perspective, I mean, obviously you've got to try and kind of dive in yourself and act out these whole scenarios. But how do you? I imagine in the back of your mind, it's kind of you just playing there, how you keep your audience involved with you, kind of playing the game with you rather than watching sat next to you on the sofa, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's kind of all in like the writing of the entire thing, and when you get these scripts, they're a big roadmap. There's so many little things to decipher, and there's so much, attention to detail. You kind of have to give it that second glance to make sure that you caught everything. And when we got the second script, we kind of ran it through a fine-tooth comb and just made sure that we had all of those little elements. And there was pieces of these puzzles that like you might miss upon first viewing. And that's the fun thing about this is like the first viewing is something a bit of a mystery and a puzzle. And then when you watch it again, you can see all of those elements come together and see like how Minos kind of conducted the entire thing. So you get to see it from two different perspectives, which is fun.
Welcome to Minos Escape Rooms.
No.
It's happening again.
You guys have played the game before?
So what is this? Like a tournament of champions?
Look, we all know how this works. We solve the puzzles or we die.
I mean, also, how do you prepare for these games? Does Adam kind of get you to go to other escape rooms, or does it basically, do you walk through maybe around a table and walk through every kind of separate part of the game?
Yeah, I mean, you could go to another escape room to kind of figure this out, but all escape rooms in our reality are very different than the ones in this reality, given the fact that nobody is getting tortured against their will when they're in an escape room. If that was the case in our real days, then it'd be met with a lot of lawsuits and very angry people.
Grab his hand! It's over. I'm done running. We can beat them at their own game.
What makes you think they're gonna let you walk away free again?
When we figure these things out, we do go through like an intensive rehearsal experience. We do a lot of stunt training, making sure that we can kind of live up to the imaginative experience that they have, foretold. And so, yeah, it is met with like lots of planning. We have to go through each room and kind of figure out how we can make this giant set piece into something expansive, but also intimate, and as far as what each character is going through. Because this movie, every character has done one of these crazy escape room experiences. However, each one of these people are a champion of a different game. And so my experience, being from the first one, we were the lone survivors, but the others, were either influencers or people that couldn't feel physical pain, or, there was an element that Tom's character had where he was like a pastor. And so it's like everybody has these different experiences. So now all of these champions have to come together and try to pull all of their resources to play the ultimate game of survival.
Uh-huh. I want to talk about the actual puzzles and games themselves, because when I watched the film, I honestly thought that a lot more of it was CGI than it actually was. And Adam, you kind of said that even like the beach scene, I don't want to give too many details about it, but like the beach scene and the bank and the train, a lot of that was actually done on sets, and actually they shipped a whole load of sand there to create that beach. That must have been insane, but brilliant for your performances at the same time, no?
Yeah, a lot of the elements were practical, and that shows within the creativity of the film, and it only helps the performance given the fact that we're actually enduring these situations. The sand room itself was quite the feat because we're dealing with quicksand elements that are real. There's bubbling sand, and there's all of these different structures that are caving in and stuff, and so having to endure that was awful. Along with that, the sand that we used was like recycled sand that was like old shells and stuff. So it almost smelled like a dirty old fishbowl in there. And so that added to the element of torture for sure.
Also, I mean, if anything went wrong, and I don't mean physically wrong, but I mean, if anything just kind of didn't work out as you planned, you've got to reset the whole thing from step one, no?
Yeah, the thing is, each room takes about 2 to 2.5 weeks to shoot. So every day is a very detailed small element of the room. So we get the chance every day to really master that one segment that then we can put all of them together, and it is that escape room that you see on the screen. So the attention to detail is definitely there. It makes it very taxing sometimes, but we get that chance to really think about each sequence and make sure that it's the best that it can be to continue on the process.
No. And I mean, another film that just recently released is Saw, which in a way has kind of certain kind of elements to it. But what I appreciate about this, the escape room franchise, is the fact that it has these traps and these puzzles, but it doesn't go for the gore or the torture porn element, which is something that I think we need, because it doesn't need that. We can feel, I mean, it's a really kind of anxious, it makes you anxious throughout the whole film without the need for kind of gore.
Yeah, we're not in the ball game of the shock value of something grotesque like that. We're more into the mystery and thriller aspect of it all. You know, big inspiration for films like this was David Fincher's The Game, and kind of trying to figure out those small things. And the great thing about the second one is we go into a city trying to look for something. You know, we go into New York City and we catch ourselves on the New York City subway, as millions of people do per day, and thinking that it's just going to be something normal. But really, Minos is always watching, and they have their mousetraps set in place. And so, you know, that added sense of mystery is fun, and it kind of gives everybody that shock of just thinking that it's going to be one thing and then it completely becomes something else.
We made it. We made it.
I don't understand. We're still in the game. Oh, no.
I wish you the best of luck with the film when it comes out, and fingers crossed I will speak to you next time about maybe a possible sequel or whatever you are up to next.
Let's do it. Thanks, Howard.
I'm not playing your game. Not now.